Hey guys, and welcome to this year's Christmas special. Today we'll look at the deluxe dragon from Series 6, the fossil dragon. Now the most unique thing about this creature is that it's a living skeleton. In fact, it looks like a Dragontine Grim Reaper, and I thought that in the spirit of Christmas future, it would be an appropriate choice to review for Christmas. So let's have a closer look. Now, McFarlane has always done a good job making its dragons look like believable living things. While this is anything but, the fact it's a skeleton actually reinforces that. That's because we now see the underlying framework of what a dragon would be. And when you see how the bones and joints all come together, here, for example, you see that the wing arm is attached to the body via a scapular or shoulder blade. You get the idea that these are working possible creatures. For example, spikes that we might see in the living creature are actually part of the skeletal structure. You'll see the spikes here down the back, down the tail, but you'll also see that there are 3 spikes that come off the patella or kneecap over here, and one has actually broken off. They sculpted it that way, I don't mean to say I broke it. And then you'll see that here, there are all these spikes that come off the elbow and off the ulna. And you'll see that hip spikes are actually extensions of the ilium. Incidentally, this dragon has a Saurischian type hip with the forward projecting pubis, which characterizes all the carnivorous all the carnivorous dinosaurs that we know of. So there is a nod to some research here. And in fact, this is a really spiky animal. It's a little bit confusing to see because you look at all these bony structures, it's hard to actually see these spikes sometimes. But besides what I've already pointed out, you'll see that the ribs here in fact ends in spikes. Considering that there aren't any scales or any skin, there is actually a lot of texture to this animal. You will not see a single smooth bone, nor will you see a simple flat surface. Everything is nicely textured. So you don't actually have a poverty of texture you might expect if if all you saw was, oh, it's going to be a skeleton. No, you've actually got a lot of interesting things going on detail-wise. Also, if you look closely, this is not entirely comprised of bones. What you'd expect normally to be empty spaces in a skeleton, they've actually got a lot of other structures here, and I can think of 2 possibilities. The first is that they are remnants of muscle, and the second is that they are ligaments or tendons which actually still hold the framework together. If you just appreciate the detail coming down the tail, it's not a simple skeleton. Alright, there are little bits of detail, like I said, flesh, sinew, down the legs. I mean, this is a detailed animal. Well, I shouldn't say animal, but it is a very detailed figure. And you look at the horns here, the way they would have looked like in real life. And that is just one nice looking dragon. Now, all those structures that I talked about, the potential ligamentous structures and the muscle, they are of a rusty brown color. And they blend very nicely with the general scheme of the dragon. This scheme is a mix of rust brown and a sickly green. Now, in other dragons it would be dull and somber, but actually works very well here. The rust color seems to eat into the skeleton. You'll see that in the head here. And throughout the body, the ribs, down the tail. Interesting feature are also plates of armor. You'll see the shoulder, on the forearm, on the thigh as well. And you know, sometimes it's hard to see where the armor ends and the skeleton begins, or if the two have somehow fused together, as this dragon was raised from the dead. Finally, obviously, you'll see a mane here, which I take to be a plume of fire along the lines of the Balrog. I like the idea because it gives the creature a sharp, bright contrast. It also gives you a sense that there is some power emanating from this creature, the same power that's animating this undead dragon. You get an impression of flame because of a translucence at the base. And if you don't like it, you can actually just remove it. And doing so, it reveals even more detail of the skeleton. You'll see the vertebrae here, the spikes. And that's really nice if you like the zombie dragon look. I personally like the from hell demon look. So I'm gonna have that back on. Now, the wings are appropriate to the theme, the bearers of structures. Devoid of flesh, you see what looks like a limb just barely clinging together. The wing membranes are rent and torn, and they're translucent. If you can see the effect, trust me, they're translucent, and that gives you a rather nice see-through effect. These interconnecting structures here, they aren't just painted on. If I can just try to catch the lighting for you, they're actually raised. So that's another nice level of detail and texture, and overall giving the wings a very insect-like appearance. The wings end in shoulder blades, giving the impression of realistic anatomy. And again, the limb has what appears to be rotting flesh, rotting remnants of muscle, suggesting that powered flight is still a possibility with this terrible creature. The end claw here is large. In fact, it's really enlarged. In fact, the whole dragon, all the claws are really huge as. And you know, here they're really oversized, and together with the armor suggests that in life this might have been a warrior dragon of sorts. Man, the detail is really nice to look at. The only unfortunate thing, however, is that this dragon is notorious for one problem, which has plagued many a McFarlane dragon, which is that the wings are almost impossible to attach, and they tend to fall off. That doesn't really fit well at all. Finally, after you get them on, you realize also that there's something a little bit odd about the asymmetry of the wings. I don't know, there's something about this pose that just looks odd, and it does take a little bit of getting used to. And you know, one might imagine that this is a dragon just shrugging off a spell of sleep, or shaking out the wings immediately after landing. Yeah, which would have been really nice if they had a much better angle to these wings. The mouth does open and close, and this is something that I believe we haven't yet seen in other McFarlane dragons. So that's a very nice touch. Now, this base is huge to accommodate the dragon. It looks monochromatic, but there are subtle shades of this dark brown, black, and even brushings of copper, like veins in the earth here, that actually makes it look a lot nicer in person than in a picture, or even on this video. And this really complements the colors of the dragon very nicely. These stalagmites are very interesting, both visually and texturally. And you can really imagine this dragon in a hellish cavern somewhere about to get to business. So here's the dragon put together. And as you can see, it is really large, and I can't even get the frame to capture the entire animal. But you know, this is one dragon that truly deserves its deluxe label. They've taken good advantage of the larger size to create interesting detail, texture, and a diorama that gives plenty of room for your imagination to run. You know, some of these little things, like, you know, the way the hand actually grips the stalagmite here, you know, the way the claw holds onto this one. You know, this dragon's interacting, right? It's not just standing on its base, it's actually interacting with its surroundings in a purposeful way. And that's nice, and I wish, you know, that more people do stuff like that. The only problem again are the wings, which depending on your luck will require fiddling, drilling, perhaps reshaping of the joining surfaces. But if you cross that hurdle, you know, I think that this is one dragon that's going to be a very impressive display, and it's going to look good, provided you have the space for it. So let me know what you guys think of this dragon in the comments. This is the last review for 2015. And I really want to thank you for the support and your interest in creatures that now reside mainly in our imagination. As you can imagine, this is quite a niche interest. Not a lot of people interested in it, but it's good that some people still are. I mean, these are magnificent things, and I think in life it's good to have, you know, something that's outside of just the practical, you know, that you have an interest in. So Merry Christmas to everybody and a great New Year.